All right, we are back with key concept 3.2. This is continuity and innovation in state forms and formation. I want to make sure that's recording. Okay, there we go. Go back. All right, so you can see all the technological and cultural transfers that are taking place during this period. So, like I said, you have like astrology, paper making is going back and forth. Zheng He, who we'll get to a little bit later. You have the Crusades. This is how technology is going from the Middle East to Europe. You have what's going back and forth between Al-Andalus and medieval Europe. So this is just kind of like a big overview of what everything looks like. A lot of these pictures, if you watch the other podcasts, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I just took them from my other podcast and we're going to reuse them and we're going to talk about what the specific empires and regions are doing at this point. All right, so China, the three dynasties during this point are the Sui, the Tang, and the Song. Those are all the Chinese dynasties. The Yuan is the Mongols in China, so don't forget that. Remember the Sui dynasty, really all they do is the Grand Canal. The Tang is the high point of Chinese civilization. They start going back with the Silk Road. This is when China starts to develop into a tribute state where they have tribute relations with Japan and Korea and non-Viet, where the really thing that they get is the champa rice from Vietnam. And then you have the Sinification occurring in Japan and Korea with like language, art, and architecture. The Song dynasty, this is when you get the champa rice, paper money, gunpowder. Confucianism is still going to be really big during this point. We're going to re-emphasize Confucianism. This is why we have foot binding and the lovely little tiny feet, because we have to reinforce Confucianism and the social order and the patriarchy. They're going to reinstitute the civil service exam, strengthen the bureaucracy. And so this is what's going on during this point. Buddhism starting to creep in, so they had to figure out a way to re-emphasize Confucianism and prove that it's better. And then eventually you get Neo-Confucianism. Okay, this is another slide that you can pause and come back to and read. Please read over all this stuff. Don't just listen to me. But this is talking about like their technology, what's going on, important cities, how they decline. So please, please, please come back and look at this slide. Okay, we would not be doing this period justice if we did not talk about the Mongols. Again, this is something you can come back and look at. Thing to know really about the Mongols at this point is they're the largest land empire in history, which you can see from looking at this map. Okay, they're pretty much everywhere. Karakorum is their capital. They're the ones that are responsible for the diffusion of technology at this point, the plague. They're also a tribute empire, and they make trade safe, which is what causes the Silk Road to like explode during this time, and why trade becomes so important for period 3. And then you have Genghis, Ogadai, and Kublai Khan. So again, kind of go back and read over this stuff, guys. It's important to know. All right, with the Byzantines, they were only able to go so far because you have the Islamic caliphates around them. They're considered the holdovers of the Roman Empire. No, Justinian, his code, their emperor was divine and absolute. It's this Christian empire. Understand the concept of Caesaropapism, where the emperor is a religious figure. Also, you have the schism that's happening during this point. So that's a split between the two churches. You have the iconoclasm movement. So we don't want any idols at all in our church. The Byzantines are also going to be responsible for the Crusades, sort of indirectly, but because of the Byzantines, you have the Crusade, and then that's ultimately a good thing because it leads to the Renaissance and the rebirth of Europe. Islam at this point is our new religion. This is the second M for period 3. It's Mongols and Muslims. So like I said, it's the newest of the monotheistic religions. Before that, you had Judaism, Zoroastrianism, and Christianity. And it's because of this concept of Dar al-Islam, and it's appealing that it's going to spread. It's going to spread primarily because of conquest, but it's the merchants that really help spread Islam all over the place. So first it's conquest and then it's merchants. All right, West Africa, you have our favorite person, Mansa Musa. You can pause it so you can go sing the song or watch the video and then come back. But he really brings importance to West Africa, particularly the city of Timbuktu, as he goes to Mecca for his pilgrimage and then comes back, and he's going to turn his city into the center of Islamic learning and trade. This is an example of what the mosques look like in West Africa. It's very different from a mosque that you would see in the Middle East, and it's also going to be different from mosques that you see like in Southeast Asia or China, because they're adopting the architecture to fit their local styles. And like I said, don't forget the camels, super important. And then you have the east coast of Africa that gets involved in the Indian Ocean trade. So pretty much the entire continent is going to be just engulfed in trade during this period. Over to the Americas, because we don't want to forget about them. The two empires truly now are the Aztecs and the Incas. One's in Mexico, one's in South America. And these are both empires that are building themselves up on conquest. They're similar in the fact that they're very militaristic. They practice human sacrifice. They're all building monumental architecture. The Aztecs were a tribute state, just like the Mongols and the Chinese had with the people around them. The Incas, like I mentioned earlier, they're building roads like the Roman, and they're a little bit unique because they have to figure out how to work with the geography, with the mountains and stuff. So that's how they practice terrace farming and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, this is the big overview of all of the empires during this point. Like I said, the two big ones are the Islamic Caliphates and the Mongols. Again, pause this, come back, read this. It's super, super important. It's one slide. You can come back and read this. And then I'm going to talk about 3.3 for y'all, and then we'll call it a day. If my computer will stop recording.